How's it going, everyone? We have another top 30 visit for the Green Bay Packers, and in this one we are looking at Alabama wide receiver Jermaine Burton. So Jermaine Burton is currently the 16th best ranked wide receiver in this year's draft and is ranked 77th overall, and this is a deep wide receiver class. Now, he did test at the NFL Combine, so he came in at 6 foot tall and weighed 196 pounds. He had a vertical of 38.5 inches and a broad jump of 11 feet and 1 inch. And his 40-yard dash was a 4.45, which gave him a collective RAS score of a 9.57, so a pretty high RAS score. And, well, the Packers do love their high RAS scores, especially in, like, the top 2-3 rounds. Now, with his 40-yard time of a 4.45, that puts him at tied for 17th best out of all the Combine members that ran the 40-yard for receivers at 17th best. So we're kind of right there in the middle of the pack. Nothing extremely fast, but he's not slow. For his time in college, he did play there for 4 years. And he actually started off with Georgia. So in 2020, he started at Georgia. He had 27 receptions for 404 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then in 2021, had 26 receptions for 497 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then he transferred to Alabama, where he had 40 receptions for 677 yards and 7 touchdowns. Then in his final year, had 39 receptions, 798 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So nothing extremely eye-popping off the paper. He had a relatively decent college career, especially towards the tail end, but nothing of those insane stats from the top receivers where they're receiving over 1,300 yards. Now, despite me saying that, it is also worthy to note that he did not have a single drop credited to him in 2023, and he also led the team in receiving yards. He also led the SEC in yards per catch at 20.5 in year 2023. So despite them not being eye-popping with ridiculous numbers, he still had a pretty good and effective, efficient year for Alabama. Now, over on the PFF side for his grades, in the year 2020, he had a 62.5 offensive grade. And I'm going to include the run blocking grade since Matt LaFleur does expect his receivers to be able to block in the offense he's running. He had a run blocking grade of 63.5. In the year 2021, he had a 70.8 offensive grade with a 56.7 run blocking grade. In 2022, when he transferred to Alabama, a 71.6 offensive grade with a 49.8 run blocking grade. Then in his final year, had a 79.7 offensive grade with a 58.8 run blocking grade. So he didn't really gain too much of the run blocking grade. He didn't get better. He didn't get significantly worse. He kind of just stayed in that middle 50s to 60s. But his offensive grade and his receiving threat pretty much increased as the years progressed, which was good. And had an amazing senior year for him. Now, for some of the pros for Jermaine Burton, he has very good acceleration and speed and can be a primary deep threat. He's an above average route runner. Quick feet, shows flashes of ability to manipulate DBs and toy with their vision. Elite hands and hand-eye coordination, naturally adjusts to the ball with ease and extends to reach the ball away from his body. And is an active player late in the down, looks for work effectively on scramble drills. And now for some of the cons, sometimes gets into his route breaks too upright, which saps him of explosiveness. Play strength is average at best, and below average yak and ability to force missed tackles, which, once again, Matt LaFleur kind of does like his receivers to be able to run after the catch. So him having a below average yak can kind of put a dent on him in going to the Packers. And then another one that's not on here is he did have a slight incident happening about a couple of years ago where he slapped a fan. And it was caught on video, and it pretty much reached the spotlight. So there are some character issues with him. And I'm sure the Packers are going to do their due diligence and ask about that situation. Even though it happened only a couple years ago, it's still a huge thing on his resume. Now, when it comes to the Packers, the question is really going to come down to, do the Packers want to spend a top pick, like a round 2, because I doubt he's going to fall to round 3, pick on a wide receiver? We have pretty good receiver depth, but it doesn't keep it out the realm that we might add another receiver. But do we want to spend a top pick on a receiver when we have other pressing needs at potentially linebacker, offensive lineman, safety, do we want to try to go for a cornerback? Like, what if Kool-Aid McKinstry somehow actually dropped into the second round? There are a lot more pressing needs, in my opinion, for the Packers than to spend it potentially on a receiver in the second round. But it also could depend on how the draft board falls to us. If he's there and he's the best player available, then sure, we'll go for him, as long as he passes probably some of the interview questions, especially with the character questions, and anything else that the Packers do when they invite players to Lambeau. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.